the ActiveCampaign conditions editor. It's all over ActiveCampaign, and it is fundamentally important for sorting through or finding your contacts based on stuff that they have in common, stuff that we know about them, that ActiveCampaign knows, and it's a way of like sorting through them. And it uses the conditions and or. So it's basically saying, find me some people who meet this and that, or find me some people who meet this condition or that thing, or that thing, or that other thing. I'm going to explain this with Lego minifigures so that this all makes sense. But this thing, the conditions editor, it's also sometimes called the segment editor. It's really important in ActiveCampaign, and you need to get comfy with it if you are going to get the best out of your ActiveCampaign account. Let us imagine for a moment that all of the contacts in our ActiveCampaign account are actually little Lego minifigs. They've all got their individual characteristics. This dude's carrying a panda and a magic wand. This one's wearing grey, and so on. Imagine there are tens of thousands of these guys, and you want to find everyone who's carrying a chicken drumstick. We can get ActiveCampaign to do this for us. It's like giving ActiveCampaign a little recipe and saying, find me every contact in there really quickly who meets this particular recipe that I'm looking for. Why would we want to do that? Well, quite often in ActiveCampaign, we want to be able to count things. How many contacts do I have who meet this particular set of things? Like they've got this tag, or they purchased this thing, or who opened this email. We want to count stuff all the time. And when we use the conditions editor in ActiveCampaign, it gives us a count straight away of how many contacts meet the set of conditions that we just set out. Also, sometimes we want to filter contacts. We want to send some of them this way and some of them this way. Or we want to say, if you happen to be holding a chicken drumstick, I do not want you to go into this automation. All of these things use the conditions editor. The sort of thing that we can use to set conditions is basically anything that ActiveCampaign knows about our contacts. So it's things like their email address and phone number and name. You can search within those contact fields. So for example, you want to find everyone who you think might be a bot account in your ActiveCampaign contacts. You might look for email addresses that contain .ru, because those are more likely to be bot accounts. So that's an example of how you might use it. And you might send people down different paths in automation. You might show them different content in your emails. And you can leverage anything that ActiveCampaign knows about them to do that. So it's tags, it's the content of custom fields, it's the dates in date fields, and anything that is in the ActiveCampaign contact activity. So ActiveCampaign is watching all the time and keeping a note of, have they entered this automation? Did they click this link in an email? Have they opened this email? Have they got a deal in this pipeline? ActiveCampaign knows all of these things, and that means we can use those just in the way we would say, find me all the people who are wearing a hat and carrying an accessory. ActiveCampaign could find you all of the people who have opened this specific email and visited a certain page on your website. There is a ton of stuff in there, and you need to go exploring and see what those conditions are that you have to work with, because it's quite mind-boggling how much ActiveCampaign knows, and the conditions editor is how you leverage that information to control counting stuff, sending people down different paths, and triggering automations and all of that sort of thing. So the conditions editor turns up all over ActiveCampaign. Advanced search, automation triggers, conditional content in emails, if-else steps in automations, goal steps, wait steps, and segmentation for when you send campaign emails. This bit's really important. So it's a way of defining a chunk of contacts and saying, send this campaign email to all of these guys who match these conditions. You do that using the conditions editor. Now, whenever you use the conditions editor, it involves a couple of options. You can say and you can say or. And it's really important that you understand how those two things work. So I've got a couple of props. I'm going to come at it from two different angles. This one's for the people who think in Venn diagrams or bubbles. If you remember your maths from high school or secondary school, this will look familiar. If you are using the condition or, it means any one of these things must be true. All right. So if we say condition A or condition B, it means all of the people in here and all of the people in here, because at least one of those things is true, right? If you're thinking in set terms, you can call it the total of A and B, or the union of those two things. If this is all gibberish, hang in there, because I'm going to use the minifigs in a minute as well. So if we say A or B, in the conditions editor, what we mean is condition A is true or condition B is true. And it means everyone who meets condition B plus everyone who meets condition A. That's an or condition. So they're usually lots of people if you're saying or. However, if you choose and as the linking thing, if we say condition A and condition B, what we're saying in the conditions editor is all of these things must be true. So A must be true and B must be true, which means the people that meet the conditions of the overlap in the middle. So in mathematics, we would call that the overlap or the intersection if we're using fancy set names, and boiled down to condition A is true and condition B is true. In most cases, that's going to be fewer contacts than if you use the or condition to link the two things. I'm going to show you with Lego minifigs now as well. You see this dude on the end here, he's got some accessories. Some of them have got hats, some of them are wearing grey trousers. Let's suppose we say, I would like ActiveCampaign to find me all of the people who have grey trousers or a hat. These have both got grey trousers, so they're in. And these guys have got a hat, so they're in as well. Because we've said at least one of those things must be true. They must have grey trousers or a hat. If we use a different condition, we say, right, now you want you to find me all the people who've got grey trousers and are wearing a hat. These guys have got grey trousers. These guys have got brown trousers and are wearing hats. We don't have anyone who is wearing grey trousers and a hat. So that and segment would have nobody in it. Nobody meets those conditions. Let's do another one. Let's say I want you to find me everyone who is carrying an accessory and has long hair. I think we have one who meets that condition, carrying an accessory and has long hair. And let's switch it around now and say, I want you to find people who are carrying an accessory or have long hair. Yes. Yes. No, he does not meet the conditions because he's not carrying an accessory. He doesn't have long hair either. That one's a yes, that one's a yes. So that one has 4 in it. Think of it as sorting through your Lego minifigs of contacts, but instead of having is wearing a hat or has long hair, you've got any of the things that ActiveCampaign knows about your contacts. There is a massive world to play with in there. If you've got e-commerce data, for example, you can search on their last purchase or their lifetime value. There's tons of stuff that ActiveCampaign knows about your contacts. So you can dream up any particular little chunk of people and think, okay, can I find out how many people I've got who have X and Y and Z? Go and play, go and have a look in the advanced search and see what you can find in the conditions editor, because it is super powerful and most people are massively underusing it. So go sort out your Lego minifigs. Have fun. Bye.